Okay, great. So good day, everyone, and I'm thrilled to welcome you on our fourth webinar about software testing with Ruslan Desyatnikov. I am Aramais Ovaisyan, also known as FO, and I'm the chairman of the Association for Software Testing Armenia. As you know, we organize meetups and webinars with software testers and coaches to talk about software testing. And now I'm very happy to welcome Ruslan Desyatnikov to be our speaker and answer my questions and your questions. So, you can address your questions in Zoom live chat, Facebook live chat, and also in Slido. That you can find the link to the Slido in Facebook event description and in Zoom live chat. Ruslan, welcome to our webinar and thanks a lot for finding time for us. And now microphone is yours, so you can tell us.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for inviting me to this session. I'm very excited to be here and share my knowledge and address any questions with you. I really appreciate it, Aramis.
Thanks a lot. So I know that you have very interesting background, not only in software testing. So you have started your career 23 years ago. So please, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started your career and where are you now?
Absolutely, absolutely. I started, as you rightly stated, 23 years back after graduating from the college. I had a very hard time looking for a job, for the first job. It took 3 months, hard searching, actually, I didn't even have any interviews. I was applying for a job, but surprisingly, nobody invited me for the interview. Apparently, one of the startup companies invited me for the interview, and I went for the interview without truly knowing what that position was all about. The position was junior tester, and I was very excited to accept the offer, even though the offer was pretty low for that time. I didn't care about the money. I wanted to start my career, and I wanted to explore and understand what that testing field is all about. So I started this as a junior tester. And after that, I was working in various of different companies, small companies, startups, big organizations, big financial institutions and banks and corporate environments. And I was wearing multiple different hats during my experience going from junior tester to QA analyst, to QA engineer, to automation engineer, to performance tester, to security tester. And then my career went into the different direction, which is test management. I was managing team, building testing teams from scratch, building testing center of excellence, and running very big global teams for banks, including 150 plus testers around the world. 13 years after my journey started, I decided that, I feel comfortable and I wanted to try to do something on my own. And that's where, QA Mentor come into the picture. I started QA Mentor 10 years back. I started as one-man shop. And the idea was only to concentrate around QA audit process improvements, QA transformation services. So that was only one service at that time, since I was the only one player there. I didn't even think that at some point of time it can get into the much global scale, with more testers around the world, with a client base around 27 different countries. And that basically where I started the entrepreneurship journey 10 years back, when I felt I can do something more. I wanted to do more for the testing community, for the testing world in general. I wanted to sort of help many organizations to get to the next level of their maturity, to establish best practices, methodologies, and approaches, and simply transform immature QA practices into the advanced level, high performance testing teams. And that was the starting point, back then, 10 years back.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for telling us about yourself. I'm sure that we'll have many questions about your career path because it's very interesting and it's very long. So I've prepared some questions before our guest will start asking a question. So my first question is about testers. So what do testers do and what don't we do and why? So I think this question is very interesting for every tester. And so what's your thoughts
Yeah,
about what do
very
testers
interesting
do?
question. Very interesting question. So in my opinion, testers do a lot. If anybody think that the testers just all about finding defects or writing boring test cases, that's not really the case. In my opinion, testers should do absolutely everything uh, except fixing the defects. We should not fix the defects, right? That's we should leave for the developers to do. But from if you look at the software development life cycle, starting from requirements gathering phase, that's where the testing role should really begin. This is where the entry point is. This is where testers should really analyze and not only analyze and review the requirements, but truly validate and verify the requirements through the static testing techniques. I've been very vocal in terms of static testing around the world, giving multiple different presentations, even build a course around static testing, because unfortunately static testing is something which many organizations overlooking and not really paying very serious attention to. Uh, so my personal view and my personal opinion is that the actual testing starts from the requirements gathering phase. That's where the validation, verifications of the requirements are done by the quality assurance professionals. We need to make sure that the requirements are covering all the angles and all the aspects and includes and consists of acceptance criteria. So everything is documented. There shouldn't be anything which is ambiguous or anything which developers or testers might guess how it's supposed to be or how it's supposed to work. If we identifying those areas, that's immediately a trouble, and that's a trigger for a very unsuccessful product deliverables and potentially many issues and problems, right? Developers should never guess how certain things should work or how certain things should behave, right? Everything should be documented. And nowadays in the agile world, this is where some might disagree with me because everybody might say, well, requirements are constantly changing, so you will never have a point where requirements are sort of finalized throughout the whole sprint. Anything can be changed. Yes, I can agree with that, but at the same time, at some point of time, we should freeze the requirements. At some point of time, everybody participating as part of the Scrum team should come to the consensus, to the conclusion that the requirements are finalized, and that's what we need to implement and deliver to the customers. And, I am a big opposer when somebody said, but this is agile. Agile is also organized, truly organized process, right? We should not be disorganized and blame everything on agile, that everything can be chaotic and disorganized and things can be changed up till the last minute or the last day of the sprint. That's where I completely disagree. So from the other components, what testers should do. So static testing is extremely important. Everybody should know how to do requirements analysis, review, but validation and verifications of the requirements. Testers, absolutely every single one, even a junior tester, should understand how to do the estimation. Because if you do certain things, you should know how long it's going to take you. Because you are responsible for this test, you are responsible for every activity. So even in our company, in our organization, when we have a junior tester, in my opinion, junior tester is empowered to be able to estimate his or her own tasks and activities and work, and be responsible for the deliverables and delivery date. So estimation, it's not just for the managers to estimate or for senior people to estimate. Everybody should be able to estimate. Now, in terms of process improvements, testers should play a significant role. That's why we called not just testers, quality assurance professionals, right? We're all about making the processes mature, improve the processes, what we see around software development lifecycle, software test lifecycle. Again, testing is not about finding the defects, clicking buttons, or entering dummy data into fields. Testing is much more than that. We make products successful. We make companies successful. Many of young new testers who are coming into the QA world, they ask me the same question. So, what is the benefits of testers? How can we benefit? I don't see any value other than improving quality. Yes, obviously this is the initial and major factor. Everyone, contributing towards the quality, not just testers, but the entire team, entire IT team, as well as the business side. It's in everyone's interest to be successful and deliver quality products. But when it comes to testing, we also, if you can think that way, we also contribute towards the bottom line for the revenue generation. We help companies to be successful. We help companies to generate more revenue. We help companies to onboard more users and clients, because everything what we do is to improve the product, to make the product successful out there, to make the product usable out there, to make the product user-friendlier, to make the product better than the competitors' products. And for that reason, testers also should assess and understand the other similar types of applications and products which are out there, and make the product which you test better, okay? And more reliable, more secure, from the performance perspective, more quicker and faster. And obviously from the functionality perspective, more richer in terms of capabilities. So that's another angle, if you can think of what testers should really do, okay? Testers should make sure that the product is getting more mature as it evolves throughout the years. How do we do that? We're doing that, again, by recommending additional enhancements, suggestions, improvements. That's the key for any more modern testers nowadays. Again, it's not all about finding that cosmetic issue that the misalignment is here or the color looks a little bit, fuzzy. This is not about the testing. This is absolutely not, because my 9-year-old daughter can spot those issues. We have to look more deeper into the different levels of problems, into the functional types of problems. We need to understand the technical aspects of the application, the architecture, the infrastructure. It's like you see the car, right? The car basically have 4 wheels, they have the body, inside there is the engine, there is a transmission, the parts. Well, that's not enough. When you open the hood, you need to understand how those parts are working together. What does the engine consist of? If you will know what is going on under the hood, you will be able to make more value and be more sort of a technical tester. Now, again, just for the lack of time, we can talk on and on this topic, but let's just concentrate what testers should not do. Again, one thing which I believe testers should not do only is fix defects. They can code, because we're building automation scripts, right? So the coding is essential part of it. Obviously, we build test cases, we identify defects, we improve processes, but we should not really fix the defects. Let's leave something for the developers to do.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So you've talked about so many topics, and I've wrote so many questions that I hope that we'll have time for answering. So you talked about the requirements that they are very, very important for testing. And what if there are no requirements? What do testers need to do in this case?
Sure. So what testers should do, probably sit idle and don't do nothing. I'm just kidding. That's typically what's happening out there, right? So I have no requirements. How can I test? How can I build test cases? How can I proceed with anything? No, you should be able to. You should never wait and see. You should act, and this is your responsibility, a tester responsibility, to be able to gather the requirements when the requirements are not there or requirements are not documented. how would you do that, right? You would ask, how can I do that? I'm not a business analyst. I mean, how can I do that? You're doing this by asking the right questions, right? You're challenging subject matter experts, product owners, business analysts, technical people who are responsible for documenting the requirements. You can have the session with them and you can start asking questions because it's your responsibility to understand what's the acceptance criteria are. We need to identify through the series of questions and extract information by simply interviewing and talking and chatting with the right people, with the stakeholders, with the subject matter experts, and try to reveal all of the information about how the application should behave, how it should look, how it should work, what are the error messages, what are the field validation rules, what are the business rules. You have a series of questions, and for that reason, all of this discovery, when there is absolutely no requirements and you see just the application, and we testing many applications, many legacy applications which been built 10 years back, and unfortunately, they have absolutely zero requirements behind. And what do? How do you understand the application? Yes, one method is you're doing this through the exploratory phase, through the discovery phase by learning and playing around with the application. But the second thing is you really need to, start and question and interview people around you who subject matter expert on this application. Now, if there is no subject matter expert, if there is absolutely nobody who would provide you some information about the requirements or behaviors or how the system should look or work, then you have to use your common sense and you have to still document expected results and acceptance criteria based on the common sense, based on your experience, based on the similar types of behaviors, because typically the behaviors from application to application pretty much the same. That's what you still need to do, and build the test cases. Testing without test cases is not a testing, is not the organized testing, and we can only rely on exploratory testing when we're testing without the test cases, which is a very good technique and methods, but it should not compromise the test cases. Absolutely, but you have to have a roadmap of what you need to verify as part of any applications. Every single inch of the applications needs to be truly tested and validated from the positive testing perspective, from the negative testing perspective, from the UI validation perspective, from the integration perspective, performance, security. I'm not talking about those non-functional areas which absolutely must be done as well. But that's how you guys dealing with no requirements or poor requirements. If you have poor requirements, you got to fix this. You got to challenge people who wrote those requirements. You need to they need to understand what is missing in their requirements. And when they start seeing that you're filing defects, and you can file defects against requirements, it's not only filing defects against functional problems or the actual built application. You can file defects against requirements as part of the static testing phase, when the business analyst will see constantly, oh, I didn't define the field validation rules. I didn't specify what's the limitation for this particular first name field, how many characters it should support, and what's the error message will be if somebody will put incorrect value in this field. What's the error message? Unfortunately, many times all of this is forgotten and all of this is not defined properly. Now, what developers do? Developers start using their imagination, common sense, and the previous experience. And they defining, the business rules, they defining the error messages, but that's not the responsibility of the developers. This is how the disagreement and problems will come when testers will start testing, and they will say, well, but how come it's working this way? Well, but the requirements were not defined. So the requirements were not defined. Somebody got to define something. So developers took initiatives to define something, but that's not the right way to do things, right? So we need to educate business analysts, product owners, to have the ownership of the requirements and really not just brainstorm requirements and talk about it. It's a good thing. It's a good session initially, but we need to be disciplined to document those requirements. So the requirements will be on the paper. It's not so difficult to document very quickly a user story. It's really, really simple, but that document will save so much time down the road and will minimize so many potential issues down the road and problems down the road across the board, right? So that's the key. That's very, very important to have this strategy and vision that if you don't have the requirements, you still can proceed. You still need to proceed and you need to act on. And and whatever I just explained, the strategy around how to extract information through the interviewing process, when you set the meeting with the product owners or business analysts, you should be able to extract that important requirements, information, and details. So you can document, and you can document the test cases, you can document expected results and acceptance criteria, and that will be your Bible to operate and execute and go around the application.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So it was very good answer. So you have answered with my favorite answer that you need to start asking questions. And I'm usually telling everyone, when you are starting testing, you need to start asking questions. And asking questions is one of the first things that testers need to do. So my next question is about your career. So you have started from a junior tester position, and now you are CEO of a QA mentor company that is providing software testing services all over the world. As you said, you have branches in 27 countries. So how you could manage to do that, and what obstacles you had during your career?
Yes, it was a very interesting and challenging path starting from the junior tester. It's like you have this high ladder and high hill, and it has thousands of steps, and every day is one step. You're climbing up, and then you fall down sometimes as well, and you can get hurt pretty badly, and it's painful, but you have to still go and move up and try to reach the top. That's basically your fulfillment success, not just success from relating to the rewards, recognitions, or some kind of monetary success. That's not really a success. Success is when you feel that you achieve something meaningful, that you achieve something for other people as well, the other people benefiting from what you accomplished. So the journey was pretty interesting. Throughout my journey, I never was afraid to take challenges. That's probably helped me to make me stronger. I never like to be working at the boring companies where I can spend hours do nothing. That's not for me. Some people like to do that. Work a couple hours and then do something else, browsing Facebook for the other time, or do any other things. That's not really for me. I like to be fully utilized and be challenged all the time. When I felt that I achieved something, and usually within 3 to 4 years, I was able to establish a very strong foundation for any organization, for any QA departments I manage and run. And then when things started to run smoothly, I got bored, and I had to get another challenge and another challenge, right? I cannot just get comfortable that everything works, well, and that's it. I need some challenges. So throughout my career, I was asking my managers, actually, give me more challenges. Give me tough challenges. I remember one discussion back in the days for one global bank. I got bored, and I came to my manager and I said, I really bored. I want some new challenges. Do you have any? He said, well, Ruslan, you have to think about it. I said, I already thought. I don't mind any challenges. I just cannot be bored. So he said, you really think about this? I said, yes, I thought about this. He said, I have a project. I have a program, rather, that is the biggest program in the bank. And that's the global internet banking application consisting of 100 applications under the umbrella of this application. But the only problem is that this is a very challenging program. The person who managed this program, there was 5 managers or 4 managers, I don't remember, in the last 3 years, and they never last because they were not successful. So before you agree to this, think about this, because it's very tough and you might not succeed. So I said, well, I want to try still. I don't mind. I'm not afraid, to lose the job if I'm not going to be successful. So that was a very, very, very challenging project, which made me extremely strong. It was very hard. It was very hard because there was, first of all, 7 QA globally distributed across the world in different time zones, 150 people to manage, make sure that everybody operating the same way, 150 applications which needs to be tested with 150 people. And the challenging time was that you had a very, very short period of time for system testing, system acceptance testing, system integration testing. So that project really made me strong. Lots of knowledge, lots of learning there, not just from the management perspective, but from their subject matter expertise, understanding of the applications. I remember the time where we literally were doing production deployment 28 hours straight in the row. That was just to move the code from QA to production environment, from UAT, user acceptance testing phase, to production environment, because that was that complicated and complex, because there's so many systems interrelating upstream, downstreams, and you have to do this right. Pretty challenging. So throughout my career, I wanted to face challenges, and that made me stronger. It made me better. Obviously, I had a lot of mistakes and failures as well throughout the process, which again made me stronger. And I review all of this, mistakes and problems and failures down the road, and I try not to repeat the same problem more than one time. That's kind of the idea, and that's the goal. But at some point you feel that you can do more, and you're ready for this bigger role to run your own company, to run your own organization. Another major reason which I wanted to start things on my own, I wanted to build a better culture. I work in different corporate environments, and those environments had a lot of politics, and I said, well, when I will build my company, there will be no politics. There will be no politicians. Politicians will be playing some other companies outside of QA Mentor, not here. And that's the culture which, for us, it's number one priority. And in my opinion, success of any organization starts with the culture, not with the, strong, people or gurus which you might have. That's important too. But if you don't have the right culture, if you don't have the right environment where people will work and enjoy and, be able to say what they want to say and do what they want to do, and truly be honest with each other, you will not be succeed in any types of business you desire to start.
Great. And so talking about QA Mentor, please can you tell us about QA Mentor, about the culture that you've built there, and some interesting things about the QA Mentor?
Sure. So QA Mentor, again, started with just one service, which was all about QA process improvements, QA audit, QA transformation. After 5 years, it took 5 years for me to start something bigger. I got a call from my former employee who I used to work back in another company. And he said, Ruslan, how about we starting the outsourcing business? How about we'll build something, and we start something in India? And, I was thinking about it, and I said, well, why not? Since I'm a single-threaded, I'm the only one-man show working as, in QA Mentor, doing just one service. And I was seeing that our customers were looking for more specialized services, automation, performance, and security. And I said, why not? Let's start and let's try this out. So from that point, that was a very, very tough decision, because, I had to quit my full-time job completely. I have to walk away from pretty, solid foundation, very good salary, very good position in a financial bank, and sort of start pretty much everything from scratch, because it requires a lot of investment. It requires a completely different strategy than just playing one-man show for many years, right? from that point, I realized that it's going to be very, very crucial to build the proper, structure within the organization in order to be successful. But before that, to build the right culture. So, we started by hiring the right people with the right set of minds, with the qualities, with the right set of personalities. That's what we were looking for. We were not looking for just, somebody is very, very strong from the technical perspective. You can gain that knowledge, you can get training, you can get that experience throughout the years, but you will never gain your personality. Okay, if you have not the right attitude, that's pretty important thing for us. And everything starts with the right mindset. We want to have individuals who will want to be successful in life, not just make us successful. We want them to be successful, for them to grow their career, to achieve something meaningful, and be able to make a difference every day. If they're not gonna willing to make a difference every day or face a challenge every day, it's not right skill set for us. And unfortunately, we're not hiring those types of individuals. So the doors are open for everybody with the right set of attitude, with the with the mindset. That's crucial. That's number one. You can be less experienced, you can be less technical, you might not even understand automation. We don't care about all of those things. This can be learned. We can train and we can guide, and you will be able to gain that. But the right attitude, honesty, because you have to be honest with your customers, with your clients. That's extremely important. We cannot sugarcoat things. We cannot hide things. We have to be transparent. It's like relationship, husband and wife. It's not going to be successful if you're not honest to each other. If you cannot compromise with each other, it's going to be a problem, right? Same goes there. So we teach a lot of psychology to all of our QA professionals, because succeeding is not just about understanding the QA and everything about the QA. You need to understand much more than just QA. Management aspect, psychology aspect, leadership aspect, technical, obviously, as well. And that's the reason why we built internally a QA university, which have over 30 different courses and trainings. And we train our guys. Not only it's available for everyone else, for the QA professionals, but we personally train our guys across the board through those training sessions, through multiple different meetings and knowledge sharing, because we want to make our guys stronger and more successful in their careers.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So what would you like to suggest to the people who are starting their career in building software testing service provider company? So you talked about QA mentor, but what would you like to suggest to the managers who are going to manage the teams?
Yes, it's a great field to start something on your own. Quality, it's continued to be a #1 priority across the board for many different organizations. When I started back 23 years ago, unfortunately, many organizations didn't think about quality, and it was not on their priority list. Throughout the years, I saw the transformation. I like what I saw. It took a long time for executives to truly understand. And so now, many companies have the corporate objectives, and quality is on top of the list for their corporate objectives. So this is a good thing. And that means that they care about quality and they want to invest into quality, because that's immediately should bring success to the organizations and generate more revenue and create more customer base pool. So it's a great field to be, continuously to be. It's a very competitive area. I mean, there's many companies I know starting QA testing services on a daily basis. I get so many questions and emails from young entrepreneurs. They started companies in China, in Japan, in Saudi Arabia, in Russia, in Ukraine, in Georgia. And, that's awesome to see. That's great to see because all of this organization contributes towards quality. And the better the products will be, the better the world will be, right? With less defects and problems. So my recommendation to the young entrepreneurs or people who wanted to start their own organizations, you should do it. You should be brave enough to do it, but you should do it very smartly. I mean, first of all, you should understand that it's very, very tough business. It's not easy to find the customers because there's just so many competition out there, and you have to be better than anybody else in order to win that business and to close the deal. It's a very long and lengthy process, but you should not, be afraid of this. But one thing is extremely important is you should be able to manage your financials, right? You should be able to understand that at what point, if you feel you're not going to succeed, you have to stop, maybe rethink, maybe go back, but not proceed further to impact your life, make yourself bankrupt, impact your family, and people around you. It's extremely important not to go and cross that line. You have to be extremely smart, and many entrepreneurs starting there on their own with their own money. This is how I started. I didn't want to take any loans, any investors. I believe that if I fail, that's my problem, and I didn't want to risk any other money. Like investors were giving me money, I didn't want to take the money because I was afraid I might not succeed, even though I felt that I'm gonna succeed, but I just didn't want to play with anybody else's money. And that's kind of what I'm still, thinking about this. I don't like to take loans. If you have the money, you can invest that money. If you don't have money, don't play with somebody else's money. It's not a good idea. So you should be, smart to do this, but at the same time, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be extremely hard, very, very difficult journey. As a matter of fact, I didn't make a penny within the first 3 years. It was very, very difficult. It was not easy to operate. My life totally changed within these 3 years. My family was not super happy, obviously, because I was working around the clock, 24/7, and my wife was asking, but where is the money? You're not seeing us. We're not going on vacations. We're not doing anything, but we still don't see the money. What is the reward to this, to all this sacrificing, right? There was a time when throughout those years, I was thinking, maybe I should go back, but I still never wanted to fail and never wanted to, get back and say, yes, I give up and this is the loss. I was keep going. And I got a lot of support from my team, from my partner in India, Nathan, during this tough time, difficult time where, even our guys, they were okay for us not being able to pay them or delay salaries. They still believe in us. They still believe in themselves that we will turn things around and succeed. And they were still staying with us, not leaving us in the difficult time, in the difficult circumstances. And we were able to succeed. For the fourth year, that's where we start really, experiencing very accelerated growth, revenue. We start acquiring companies. We start hiring, more experienced people, which costed more money to begin with. But that took a long time, and it was a big, very complex and complicated journey. So you guys have to be strong, and at the same time, you have to have a lot of patience. If you don't have a patience, don't start this, because it's not going to be 1 month or 2 months. It can get 2 years. As I said, 3 years. It took very, hard work, working around the clock, and looking and seeing you hardly can only break even at this point of time. So never give up. Believe in yourself. Follow your dreams. It's up to you to be successful or just lose and say, I'm sorry, I give up, and that's it. But be smart in terms of your investment. Don't create tough situations for your family or put yourself into the bankruptcy situation. That's not the right thing to do. It's better stop. You can come back, maybe you need additional experience, maybe a couple more years, and then you can try it again. And you can try this multiple times. It's okay. If you fail from the first time, I saw many entrepreneurs fail from the first time and they're afraid to start second time. You can start second time and you can start third time and you will be successful as well, because you're getting smarter, you're getting stronger, you're getting more mature. So don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to make decisions, because sometimes it's a bad decision, sometimes it's a good decision, but you should never be afraid to make decisions. Be responsible for your decisions. Those are recommendations.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think that your work will encourage many people to think about starting their companies and making some vision about how to build a company. And I think that many people will succeed with this. So you spoke about hiring people now. So you are doing hiring, and you are hiring in various domains. So can you share with us what are the most needed skills for testers to get the job nowadays?
You was breaking up a little bit. What was the question again?
Sure. So can you share with us what are the most needed skills for getting a job?
Absolutely. So nowadays, if you will ask anybody, probably 95% of the people will answer, you absolutely have to have automation skills on your resume in order to get the job. Now, this is not true. The market dictates this, that's correct. But the people who are running QA departments, IT departments, they should be smart enough that automation skills is not the only skill which is required for QA professionals to contribute towards quality, right? There's a hype about the automation, which is, I mean, it's very interesting to see this, but automation, and I keep saying, automation is not everything. You know, automation is not a solution to all the problems, right? To all the agile problems, to all the quality problems, to the turnaround time problems. Everybody thinks, well, with the automation, we're going to deliver everything very quickly, very fast, just with a single click of the button. You know, no. I mean, and everybody aware of this. So from the skills perspective, this is how I see this. This is who we want to hire. And we close eyes on the automation skills. You don't have the automation skills, it's okay, it's not a problem. Even though we support our clients, some of our clients requires those automation skills, but for me, automation is not the top priority skills in the QA professionals. Number one skill is analytical skills. Analytical skills is extremely, extremely important. Analytical thinking, it's your common sense. You have to common sense. You have to challenge constantly the product, the requirements, everything what you do. Testing is all about questioning, okay? You got to ask questions. I see, you know, testers very shy sometimes. They don't ask questions. They read the requirements and they treating this as a Bible and they said, okay, I'm going to follow it. No, you got to constantly challenge everything what you do, you know, because that's extremely, extremely important. You got to have this analytical mindset, and also you have to be able to put yourself in the shoes of the customers. You have to feel the product, not test the product, but feel the product. You have to feel whether it makes sense, whether it's usable, whether it's bringing benefits. You have to put yourself to understand the business rules and logic. It's not just, I've seen so many testers nowadays in the financial field, they don't understand the business behind. You need to understand that business, because those products helps, to achieve, good success during the day-to-day activities for the operational department who are utilizing those products and features and supporting their clients. You need to understand that. If you will not understand that, you're not going to add a really great value to the product. And that's extremely important. Now, obviously, you need to understand the theory, the methodology of the testing, right? You need to understand the sequence of the events. You need to understand how to build the test cases. That's extremely important skill. I mean, I see testers with 10 years of experience and they not doing good in building test cases, you know, and that's really bothers me when I see experience with 10 years and they cannot really uh, put the right structure into the test cases, right? It's very, very important. It looks simple, just writing a simple, test case, but no, the test cases are extremely important because you can have 1,000 test cases, right? And it still will not cover all the angles of the application. And you will say, oh, I'm a hero. I built 1,000 test cases here. No, somebody might have 100 test cases and they will be able to cover much more than your 1,000 test cases were covered. So you need to think smart from the perspective of how you're going to cover more areas, you know, and how you're going to avoid the duplications when you're building the test cases. So the smart testing, intelligence within your test case design, it's your success to uncover issues and problems, right? Now, technical aspects, you need to understand that. And from the technical perspective, what I mean is, it's my example, which I mentioned before, you need to understand internals of the application. What is the web architecture? What does it consist of, right? What is the infrastructure? You know, what is it built on? You need to understand the components. You need to understand relationships and integrations between various of different systems, right? You need to understand all of these areas because it's not just blindly you have a product, you have the interface, and you just click the buttons on that interface. You have to be smart enough to start earlier at the API layer and start building test cases at that point of time as well, because that's where you can start finding issues, problems, and to address those problems cost less than waiting for those problems to materialize during the system testing when it's not too late still, but everybody's asking why testing cycles constantly expanding. The reason being is because we finding tons of defects during this testing phase, right? And the developers need to it takes time to address them. The goal is, and that's why I fall in love in the shift left strategy, because that's the right way to do. You're shifting to the left, you're starting finding issues from static testing, requirements. That's where you're addressing the problems. Then you're starting at the unit level, unit tests, code reviews. You're not participating in this, but from the QA perspective, you can control those areas. You can challenge developers. Before I take any deliverables from you, can you show me a proof on the unit tests? What is the unit test coverage? What are the results? What are the passing? What is the code coverage? Have you ever done code reviews? Not just look at the code and say, it looks okay. Truly, code review, peer review, verifying line by line the code. Static code analysis, dynamic code analysis. It's like a spell check in any documents. Developers, if they're not doing it, QA professionals can do it and add the value to this. So you see how many checkpoints you can have before the product will go to test environment where the system testing and system integration testing will start. You can do so many checkpoints and validations along the way in the software development lifecycle initial stages to minimize the defects, to improve the quality, to improve the code. So your testing cycle should really be decreased because you will not have that many issues and problems and obstacles and challenges and blockages, right? The goal is for the testing cycle to be condensed and quick and fast. But if you're not going to do all this preliminary work with a shift left strategy dictates, the testing cycles will always run and your managers will always be not happy. Why testing taking so long and so long, right?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for answering. So about the future of software testing. So what's your vision about it? So what do you think how it will be in near future or?
It's a very, very good question because I've been asked this question very often. I wrote a number of articles in Forbes magazine relating to the future state of testing, how artificial intelligence or machine learning can impact, testers' jobs. And, I have the same opinion. You should not be afraid of the future, okay? Testing jobs will not go away. manual jobs will not go away because all of this, I give you an example. So 23 years ago, there were still automation tools, right, out there. At that point of time, WinRunner was the tool. I remember I was doing WinRunner myself from the Mercury Interactive, cool tool. We were all playing, very nice, added value. Now, I'm looking today, Unified Functional Test, which is replacement of that WinRunner, which was 23 years ago, right? Same concept, same methodology, same everything. Well, did it help, to minimize or to remove testers' job? I don't think so. There are much more testers than was 23 years ago, right? But the question is, the tools, unfortunately, I didn't see maturity in those tools. The tool should simplify the process. Tools should not be, used to build scripts and create scripts because it's a very time-consuming exercise. It's not helping, to speed up the process. It's the same as developing the code, right? So I really was hoping that the market will develop scriptless automation tools, which they did. There is a number of scriptless automation tools which are claiming to be scriptless, where you don't need to be understanding the code, you don't need to be learning object-oriented programming in order to do this. There are tools out there. I just don't want to advertise those tools. I never sort of mention a name during my interviews. I don't want to be biased or unbiased here. But scriptless automation, if you search on Google, you can find some of them. But the problem is still now, those tools are not that mature yet. I mean, they definitely simplify certain areas, but you cannot fully rely completely. It's not completely covering all the angles of the functional regression testing, and they can only do that much. So the market still continuously requires this magic tool, which I always dream about. And I said, okay, can I have this magic tool, like a scanner? I put my requirements on top, I scan it, and what I get manual test cases automatically. Just put it, let this logic or magic takes place where I click the scan button and I got the manual test cases. Oh my God, wow, in 1 minute. And then I take manual test cases, I put in another box, let it call another scanner, and I said, okay, let's convert all of this into the automation scripts. And I have the automation scripts with me. Then when we will have that, that's where we should start worrying. But we are far, far away from this, right? So you don't have to worry about it. Until that magic happens, when you take the requirements, put it in there, magically it will become test cases covering all the angles of the requirements. And then all of this manual test cases will be converted into the automation scripts. If this is possible, which is not even close, many companies try to do that, not even close, then I will say, guys, we should worry about our jobs. 23 years, nothing happens. Another 23 years, well, I don't know, maybe, but we're still far away. That's the example which I always like to give. Don't be worried. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, all great things, all great technologies, they need people to operate them, to evaluate this, and your job will never disappear. Okay.
Even if this will happen, there will be a lot of applications without requirements, so we'll not lose this job.
Okay. Absolutely.
And speaking about automations, so many people are trying to write some automation scripts and use a lot of new frameworks. So what do you think about this automation? Is it helping, or is it disturbing, or is it slowing down or speeding up the processes? And speaking about the new frameworks, because every day we are reading that new framework was built by some developers or some teams, but usually these new frameworks are having short lifetime. So what do you think about this?
This is what I think about this, and this is absolutely great question. And you're absolutely correct. Why do we see constantly so many frameworks, so many automation frameworks? You know, every year there are multiple of them coming to to the place, and everybody try to advertise that this framework is better than other framework, or this automation tool is better than the other automation tool. Now, I comparing automation tools or frameworks to my daughter's toys. I buy her a toy, 1 week, 2 week, she plays with it, and that's it. She never touches again. I ask, where's the toy? Oh, I like a new toy. This is what's happening, unfortunately, on the market. If you're automation engineer, you got bored from the same automation tool and you say, oh, let's try something else. Oh, something new comes in. Let's try this. So what's happening, what I see in this 23 years, that we never mature a single tool or framework to the point that it will speed up and help us drastically reduce time. What we see nowadays, we constantly caught up and trying to catch our own shadow. Meaning, an example, 2 week sprint agile, right? You have the automation scripts, something changed, they broke the existing scripts, you need to fix the scripts, you need to automate user stories, you need to fix regression testing, and you constantly trying to fix something and to do something, but you never leveraging that benefits of automation execution. There's constantly 50% of your scripts fails, or 50% of your scripts never works, and you still continue to do this manually. You're spending so much time on this, you're losing focus towards quality. All you care is to tell and report to your manager, oh, look, I automated this, but what is the ROI? What is the return on investment? You know, what did you do other than just show flashy report, I automated 5 user stories? So what does it mean? I mean, can I measure a temperature of this user story? Can you tell me the quality? How did you add the quality for this, right? That's the key. This is where people are losing focus. I am all in support of automation. I keep saying this. Many people out there think I'm opposing to the automation. No, I am all for it. We doing a lot of automation projects nowadays across the board in multiple different frameworks. We built our own 6 proprietary frameworks as well, but you need to be ready for the automation. If you're not ready and mature enough to do the automation properly, you will fail, and that will not be successful automation. Your management need to understand that automation is a continuous investment. It's not, I'm going to build, invest money, and I can leverage this for the rest of my life and click the button, and every time I will get all the defects here, all the reports here, and I will not do anything. Management, unfortunately, does not understand that you have to have the right number of automation engineers to support, whether you're doing, you know, agile, scrum, sprints, or a typical waterfall approach. You need to have the right ratio. You need to have ability to support and have enough time to pre-qualify the product first and the user stories first before you start automating things. Not doing automation. Oh, I have a script for this. Okay, you run the script. No defects. What do you think about the user story? What do you think about the product? It's passed. There is no defects, right? This is not the answer, right? This is not the answer. So we can talk more about the automation. I mean, there's a lot of things to say, but you have to be ready and you have to be mature, and you have to be, your management needs to understand the value, return on investment, and in order to successfully implement continuous integration, continuous delivery pipeline, and automate everything, including performance testing automation, security scanners, penetration test automation, everything you can automate, you can achieve that. But you gotta have the right skill set, you gotta have the right profiles of the resources who will do that. You have to have the time and the budget in order to do that. If you will have all of this, yes, that will be successful. If you will start missing some of those key ingredients, you're not going to be successful. You will fail. It will be a waste of time. Your management will say, okay, we're not successful with this tool. Let's try another tool. Somebody will say, oh, this tool is not good. Let's do the other tool. And at the end of the day, 23 years, you see nothing, unfortunately. You see nothing.
Yeah, unfortunately. So many people doesn't understand the reason of automation, the value of automation. So they are just trying to automate anything and just say it for the checkbox that, okay, we have automation and nothing more. So, and my last question, Ruslan, is about books related to software testing. This is my favorite question that I'm asking to all our speakers. So, what books you'd like to suggest to people who are in software testing or are interested in software testing and like to read some books?
Sure. I mean, I love books. I have lots of books which I purchased throughout the years. Unfortunately, some books are really, really great books, and some are high-level books, you know, where you can clearly see the person who writing them really didn't have this practical hands-on experience. So you have to be very selective and very careful in what books you're buying. Obviously, reviews, comments are important when you're buying a book, but you know, I try to categorize and see several areas. And if I would buy a book right now, if I would start my career or just started, or maybe 3 years, 5 years down the road, I would still buy those types of books, you know, based on my personal experience with reading those books and information inside those books. So one book is, you absolutely need to understand the theoretical knowledge. It's important. Practical is more important than theoretical, but theoretical is the starting point, right? So you need to understand concepts, methodologies, best practices, right? There is a great book which called Foundations of Software Testing, ISTQB certification by Rex Black, okay? This book really touches all of the theoretical aspects of quality assurance and testing. Not only prepares you for ISTQB certification, which is good to have. I know many are opposing to ISTQB certificate, you know, out there, which I believe, you know, this is what we have. If somebody can create better exams or better body of this, let them do it. But for now, this is what we have. This is what people are utilizing. This is a great book. I like that book because it covers a lot of great angles, and it preps you for ISTQB certification. Now, another area which is more practical and the new innovative vision is Lessons Learned in Software Testing by Sam Kanner and James Back. Okay, it's a context-driven aspect, very interesting areas and lessons learned. You know, a lot of great stuff, a lot of challenges and problems are there, real issues which, you know, Sam Kanner and James Back dealt throughout their career and experience and helping many other organizations. So it's a great book. I really love it. I read it multiple times. Let's talk about the automation. I mean, there's a lot of books about the automation, you know, so many out there. Which one you would really like? I personally like is, it's the book called, I think it's called Before the Code. Before the Code. This is like first steps to the automation. And the author is Jim Hazen. Okay. Excellent book because it's really preps you so you can understand when to do the automation. When is the time to start the automation the right way? It's not just, okay, I'm teaching you coding, right? It's much more than that. Extremely, extremely interesting book. I would recommend that book. And now, obviously, we cannot live a day without agile testing, right? So there's the areas, there's so many books, DevOps, agile, you know, everybody wanted to make some money to release this book when the agile hype was out there. But there's one book which I personally like because it introduces a lot of interesting things, again, based on practical experiences, based on real examples. That's called More Agile Testing by Janet Gregory. Okay, that book I recommending a lot of you know, testers who are not familiar with the agile Scrum process methodology, even different types of meetings which are part of the agile projects. Very, very good book. I would strongly recommend. So, you know, all these books, if you add them together, you know, less than $150 you need to spend, but it's going to boost your knowledge dramatically. It's a great book. And some books you can read easily. It's a lot of analogy inside. And some books are so heavy, it's so difficult to read, and it's just heavy. Those are easy to read, you know, from my perspective. Again, everybody has different opinion, but if I would recommend somebody, when I started my career, I also were looking for books. Nobody really recommended. So I bought so many books. 90% of them are, you know, dusted right now. It was not really useful. 10% are really great. So I learned by mistake by buying a lot of books. So, you know, this is my recommendation, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for answering my questions. So this were the questions that I've prepared. And here are some questions in Slido that I'd like to read for you. So
Sure.
what are your thoughts on TDD practices applied to acceptance tests for web apps?
Very, very good methodology. Many organizations nowadays, which we're dealing with, test-driven development, behavioral-driven development, TDD, BDD, you know, this is a great option. But again, the organization needs to be ready for it and mature for this. You know, many organizations try and they thought that this will solve all their quality issues and problems, and it didn't work. I personally believe it's a great strategy and practice, but your organization, your AT, your HL Scrum team needs to be ready for it, and everybody needs to be aware of this. This is like your culture. This got to be built into your culture. If it's not going to be successful.
Thanks. And second question is about, is it too late to start the career of tester if you are 43?
Oh, believe it or not, right now I have a student, 63 years old, starting a QA career, QA professional. He was a cab driver, you know, and right now it's not doing well, and you know, he wanted to try. So anybody can start professional career in testing. There is never late. Nobody is looking nowadays, you know, at your age. There's so many freelancing websites and portals where you can find a job doing those projects. Nobody will look at your passport or ask, you know, when you was born. So absolutely, if you have this motivation, if you still, you know, have the power to learn something interesting and new, it's a very interesting field. It's not very complex or complicated to initially start and understand. It gets complicated when you start doing automation, performance, security testing. That's really, you know, the technical API level testing, database testing. But initially, you can start, you can still add value, you can, you know, be sort of a manual tester initially, and it's never too late, in my opinion.
Okay, so another question is writing. I'm a junior manual QA tester yet, and every day I face a question: how not to drown in the routine of manual testing?
Can you repeat again?
I'm a junior manual QA tester yet, and every day I face a question: how not to drown in the routine manual testing?
And rolling manual testing. Yes, I know there's a lot of debates, manual testing versus automation testing, or why we even call somebody a manual tester, right? So this is my message to all of you guys who are out there and doing manual testing right now. Manual testing is not a low-level grade job. Manual testing, and you can call it manual or adjusted testing, it absolutely doesn't matter. But manual testing, you're doing this with your eyes, you're doing this with your hands, you're doing this with your mind and brain, right? That's without the automation tools, for example. It's extremely, extremely important job, okay? And in my opinion, it's more important than even automation job, because you truly understand the product, the business rules, the functionality, the vision of this product. You're playing the role of a actual user. And to me, you know, you will never get caught where somebody will think low about you, that you're just a manual tester, you're not knowing automation, or you're not possessing automation skills. So don't be scared or afraid that somebody might view this as a low-level great job. It's extremely important job. Not many people can actually do that job, so you should never be shy, even if somebody will call you a manual tester, and that's fine. I mean, the designations, the names, it absolutely does not matter. You can call whatever you want to call. Testing is a big aspects, right? With the multiple different magnitude of different things in it. So, don't be shy. Don't be afraid, or don't take anybody seriously who, calling you, oh, you're just a manual tester. You're not really, an automation engineer. So there's a big, weightage between you and me. Just ignore.
So for me speaking, I'm not okay with saying manual tester, because if you're testing engineer, then you are using your brain and you're doing analysis and you're thinking, so you're not doing anything manually. So you can check manually, but you cannot test manually, because testing includes this understanding, questioning, reading, understanding, and analyzing. So if you are doing software testing, then you are doing software testing and using some
Correct.
automation tools. This is just giving some new skills, not limiting it.
Correct.
So, and another question is, hi Ruslan, I'm experienced 18 years manually as user acceptance team lead at major financial investment banking. How do I materialize it with startup code?
User acceptance testing, extremely important role in overall software test lifecycle and the product maturity. This person, whoever it is, spending 18 years, it's extremely important role which this person played, because usability testing, which is part of user acceptance testing, is crucial nowadays. Unfortunately, again, the technical testers overlook usability, right? And they're looking at more functional problems, but missing that usability aspect of this. So in my opinion, you would not believe how many clients asking us not to do just functional testing. They specifically want to hire us to give that feedback, user feedback on the application in terms of what we feel, what we think about navigation, about the overall experience, user experience, about the UI, about the reports, where we get confused within the application, where we get stopped. So in my opinion, you undervalue your role and your understanding in those 18 years. There's so many demand for what you do. Now, if you want to move to the automation, you can definitely move to the automation, and you can study and learn the automation from that perspective. So, you can easily learn the automation from also the workflow perspective and validation perspective, relating to the UI validations as well. Since you are user acceptance tester or user experience tester, you can concentrate around those areas and learn this. But my personal opinion, you will find a job. You just have to market yourself well, because there are many shortage. It's a big shortage nowadays in the true user experience professional testers who can add that value. Okay, not just simply finding those little defects, but truly assess the product from the user standpoint of view, and truly provide that feedback and recommendation on how to improve this product. 2 months ago, I ran this training session for one bank in US, because they were not able to find issues and problems relating to the usability. They were able to find functional problem, but they were part of the user acceptance testing team, and they just didn't know what they need to do, what the strategies, methodologies, best practices are around the usability testing and user experience testing. And there is a whole training for that. And there's a number of books, I don't remember, a couple of books, where really not regular tester, functional tester, missing a lot of knowledge of the user experience testing. So in my opinion, user experience testing will be in demand. That's what right now, not many companies truly understand this role and missing those positions within either product team or business analyst team or user acceptance testing team or just the regular system testing teams, right? But your role is extremely important. So I would recommend not to go and switch to the automation, but really stick to that area which is in demand and will be in demand as well. Because machine learning, artificial intelligence, automations, they cannot feel the product. You can feel the product. Human can feel the product. And that's where your knowledge after 18 years will definitely help to any companies, to any product company who will deliver the product. Your expert opinion is extremely important. So I would not switch.
Thank you. And we have last question in Slido. So what to do if you are the only tester with nearly 20 engineers in the project?
You can obviously you can quit. I'm just kidding. No, you cannot quit. You have to work smarter and become an intelligent tester. Okay. In my career, I worked for the startup companies, and there was a situation where the company didn't do well, and from 18 people, 16 people were removed. I left with another person in the organization, 2 people. Developers also were downsized, but not that. So the ratio was, I think, 2 to 12 developers. It's not 1 to 20, 1 to 30, as you mentioned, right? But when this happens, obviously it's very difficult, it's very tough. But my recommendation in those situations is obviously test smarter. How do you test smarter? Number 1, risk-based approach, impact analysis approach are the key strategies to make sure that you're hitting only the proper and right areas, right? Because you can run regression testing and execute 1,000 test cases, but do you really need to run 1,000 test cases in order to qualify a new sprint, a new build? Yes, somebody will say, yeah, just to be safe. No, you should not do that. I mean, if you have army of testers, please waste your time. But in this particular case, you need to start working more effectively, more efficiently, and more smartly by doing this risk-based approach. Figure out what is the riskiest areas. You cannot build detail level test cases anymore, for example, because there's so many features. Start doing high-level test scenarios. Build a checklist, which will save you time. Start thinking on the ways which you would be able to work smarter, but at the same time not compromising and not doing shortcut, which can potentially impact your quality. Think about those areas, and obviously try to explain to your managers that if you go on the street and you're going to start fighting with 20 people and you by yourself, even if you have a black belt, it's not going to work. So you have to get the support, right? Some kind of reasonable support. The ratio should be at minimum, like the worst case scenario, 5 to 1. Normal scenario, 3 to 1, but not 20 to 1.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And seems that our webinar came to the end. Thank you, Ruslan, very much for finding time and sharing your knowledge and experience with us. And I'd like to say that I'm waiting for the challenges that you'll accept and will achieve them. So wishing you all the best and hope to see you in our other webinars.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate inviting me to this webinar, to share my knowledge. I always honest with my opinion. I don't make up stories. That's not, what I like to do. I paint a black picture or white picture, and straightforward. I want to just give a couple more sort of recommendation. And I really appreciate what you guys are doing, those webinars and sharing knowledge with the QA community. That's extremely, extremely important. I guess, you wearing the same hat as I'm wearing because you're also leading a very, very good quality assurance and testing company as well. So you understand pain points, same way as I am, and that's why, you know, when I was talking and discussing about those areas, I mean, you're very familiar to it because you're dealing with those problems on a daily basis. But what I want to say for, you know, the new generation of testers, even existing experienced people, the testing field is evolving, right? Nowadays, things are done differently. You guys gotta continue learning new ways of doing things, continue experimenting certain things because not everything works the same way as it used to be. But the concept, the approaches, the methodologies, you know, what you need to do in order to achieve quality products, pretty much the same. It didn't change, right? Whatever I was discussing about static testing, it's been there for years, right? Estimation, you know, building the proper test cases. Those are the techniques which are been there forever. They're not changed. So you need to improve on those areas and you need to be good at those areas. So don't be, you know, side-blinded with the automation tools where people will say, well, without the automation tools, you will not find jobs, you will have no future. Obviously, if you have time and opportunity, learn it. Introduce automation tools into your practices, into your departments, right? But don't be, you know, investing into the automation if you will harm the quality of the product. That's what you should not really do, okay? Continue learning, continue, you know, upgrading your skills. There's so many areas nowadays where we need testers. The market needs testers, the companies needs testers, performance testing, shortage of performance testers on the market. Cybersecurity, security penetration testers. Not many testers out there who really understand what they need to do. Those areas, usability testers, user experience testers. I mean, think of this. There's so many different areas. ETL, data warehouse, backend validation testers. You know, there's so robotics automation nowadays. Very booming area as well. What is interesting in robotics automation, you don't need to know programming skills or, you know, you don't need to build scripts. There are tools which allows you to build scripts absolutely without knowing and understanding scripting. I saw some really interesting tools, and robotics automation will be coming into the picture more and more. And there will be, you know, a lot of new positions and roles for that. So as you can see, there's a lot of things. Everybody now all run towards automation. There's a lot of other things, a lot of other areas which you need to learn. And, you know, QA is a very, very big, you know, horizon with opportunities and various of different things which you can add value and learn and play the role on. And there's a management role. Obviously, all of you can take this, or there is a technical role, you know, so many different things there. So, you know, there will be jobs because the quality will never be going away. And the products, new products are hitting the market more and more. So you guys will make the difference, and your role in that will be crucial and very, very important. So good luck to all of you, you know, and let's continue to make products better, successful, and, you know, make your career successful as well by learning more and advancing more and covering different areas. I call QA professional who understand all of these segments and all of their areas, including performance, security, automation, technical aspects of it, test management. That's what modern QA professional nowadays should possess. Good luck to you guys all, and thank you so much for your questions.
Thank you very much, and see you later. Bye-bye.
All the best.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Yep. Thank you.